3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7 gives us a quorum. All right, so let's call to order. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, public comment period. Are there any public comments? Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, on this disc golf thing, I think we ought to not get into that. Our basic theme is conservation, to keep Bristol primitive and wilderness, and keep our parks clean and pristine. And we don't need anything like that that's going to be used for a short period of time by a short bunch of people, and it'll just lay there. So let's think deep about that before we go putting in all these man-made structures, as we say. Try to keep our conservation conserved. Thanks, guys.
That sounds great. Thank you for your input. Unfortunately, Meredith won't be able to join us today. And so she wanted to table that conversation until March anyway. So we'll make sure we bring that back up with her at that point. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, so public comment period, that seems like that's good. Additional items on the agenda. I don't know that I put on that FEMA thing. Did you want to talk about FEMA or not?
I think it's on there.
It is on there? I'm losing my mind right now. It is?
Is
Oh,
it?
it's the USGS risk rate. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
No problem.
Oh, it's like the 5th week of the semester, and
Things
it's
get
just
real. Yeah.
is real right now. Yeah. Okay. So any other additional items to the agenda then? Anyone? Okay.
If there's time, Kristen and I both got an email from Amos, and just a very small bit to discuss about taking minutes and some of his thoughts as he presented them to Kristen and I in an email.
Yeah, I think we could cover it on the wildlife item. Jono, do you think?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds fine.
Perfect. Okay. Sounds good. And then I'd like to move on and review and approve the minutes from July, September, and October. For people that aren't.
September.
July, September, it's now October. Wait, which one am I missing? Just July, September?
Just
Oh,
October.
all right.
No
We can
minutes yet.
strike that. All right. So modified movement for just July, September. Our August meeting, we canceled for a quorum, lack of a quorum, and then September, we couldn't do July because we were doing a joint meeting with the New Haven Conservation Commission. So July and September minutes, thoughts?
I'll make a motion
Oh, hello.
that we amend the September minutes, and this relates to what Jono was just saying.
Oh, okay.
That could we add a sentence in the September minutes that says the full discussion can be viewed on the Neat TV video?
Sure.
Just because Amos felt that the full discussion wasn't captured in all the minutes, and so my response to him was, it's really a tough thing to try and get everything in the minutes, and we're balancing brevity of minutes with inclusiveness of all the subject matter. Mm-hmm. So if we just put that little sentence on there, then everyone who's really super interested in the full conversation can go to Neat TV.
How do we amend the minutes? So should I make the edit and send it back to the town and they then post a new one? Is that how you amend it?
I think that's how that normally
often
happens.
they're just listed as draft because we haven't officially
approved them yet.
So you could just send a new one that says approved minutes, I think.
Approved
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they post the draft ones usually.
Okay.
Which we would like to maybe always make a standard sentence that just says can be viewed for days when it's hopefully recorded. We try to record it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad sentence to just have at the bottom of all of our
sentence,
minutes,
right?
right?
Well, because I know, well, maybe this should be a separate conversation, but I'd love to talk about that in general, about like, so I know we talked about making sure that we kept the identity of each person really private and therefore what they had said.
Exactly.
But also need to have a summary.
Right.
So I would love to have a discussion about that at some point tonight.
Yeah, if there's time, Carolyn, then I think it's a worthy discussion for this meeting.
Oh yeah, I usually have new business, but that got cut off. I'm sorry, I'll add that right here.
Okay.
Minutes. Are we prepared to accept the July minutes and then accept the approved September minutes? That is something we're.
I make a motion that we approve the July draft minutes and
I'll second the motion.
September as amended minutes.
Okay, he seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that will, the ayes have it, but motion carries. Okay, correspondence. Anything
our-
decided
In our
nothing?
mailbox,
Oh, there was in our
was-
mailbox
flyer from the Association of
for like a
Vermont
year
Conservation
now.
Commissions,
Yeah.
a
Forget
spring issue of the Vermont Land Trust newsletter, but most excitingly, a big packet of stuff on the Edith Stock Trust. I presume
What?
probably.
Oh, fantastic.
Probably George Vince dropped it off, but it doesn't say here.
Oh, cool.
And there's a picture of Edith Stock. I don't know if anyone
Oh.
can see. There she is.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Oh, that's
I'll
great.
capture that and put it in the Sycamore
Oh,
Park
yeah, here
plan.
too, at the bottom.
Yep,
The-
and she's at the
The
bottom.
bird maven.
Yep.
That's so
So-
awesome.
I'll go through these in the next month or so and
That'd be awesome.
pull out what's pertinent, so.
Cool, I'll add that to the agenda for November. And maybe I can get some information.
Yeah.
From the town, finally. We'll see, I keep trying.
Oh, on the funds level.
Yeah, I keep trying and then I keep forgetting and then I keep trying again, so
Okay.
it's a work in progress.
Before we continue, Carolyn, and for Zaley's information, I see, of course, Jim often attends the meetings, which is great to see Jim here again. And I see a gentleman, Freddie, who's here. So he might just be wanting to observe the
Yeah,
meeting.
no, I think Freddie, you're the new Alex, right? Okay.
Oh, so I'm sorry. So Freddie, you took the position over for Alex. Fantastic. Okay, I'm up to date now. Thank you.
I'm trying to blow through things so he can pretty much talk for a while, so.
All right. Well, that helps clear the air.
Yeah, no, sorry.
I just
It's
want to make sure
awkward.
everybody's connected
Yeah.
into the meeting. And then I'll
Thank you,
get back
yeah.
to the Amos part when we have a chance to open that up.
Okay, so correspondence, was that old business, Conservation Commission membership. So we have a 9th seat available, as you know, and then today, David Rosen resigned from the commission. He said he felt it was time for him to leave, that attendance and participation at meetings is becoming difficult, but he would like to he would like to know about the meetings and agendas and minutes and keep involved, and he says he would still like to push a wheelbarrow and help at any time.
Excellent.
So
Can
we
I
have
make
two things.
a short suggestion? I know in other boards, they've often had an advisory committee. So sometimes that's an opportunity for people to kind of get acquainted with an organization and then they step up into a board role, or vice versa, step back down into an advisory capacity.
Mhm.
Maybe there's an opportunity here to think about David and other past members, and if they're interested in serving in an advisory capacity.
Yeah, certainly Kristen and I have sent the occasional email to friends of the BCC and alumni, I believe,
Yeah,
we like to
alumni,
say, yeah.
Just to keep them in tune with what we're doing, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good idea. We should make a list and at least make sure the members know if they're gonna send out information or something.
So it sounds like it's happening
Institutional.
informally. Maybe if there's
Yeah,
some general consensus that we could potentially formalize that, or keep it operating as is.
yeah. Well, we'll pull together some names and see who's around maybe.
Sure.
And make note of that. Okay, great. So,
So we have 2 seats, is that the?
two
that's the-
seats, two seats available. Which is, it just gets harder for quorum sometimes if we don't
Yeah.
have more people, but, because with 8, then you end up with, is 4 good enough, do you know?
Think so.
I hope
Robert's
so.
rules is
Yeah,
over there.
Robert's rules is over there, collecting dust, unfortunately, so
So
I'll look into
Carol,
that. Yeah, Helen.
might it be worth a front porch forum posting? Just asking if there's anyone interested, maybe mentioning some of the recent things we've been involved in or what our mission is, just to see if there might be people out there that we know nothing about that would be great members.
Yeah, totally.
Was that how you found it, Nancy, when you first joined? Was
I
that
just
off
looked on the
front page?
town
Oh, okay.
site.
Cool.
Okay, I can write that email from Porch Forum. Unless someone else would like to do that, but I doubt it. Okay, all from Porch Forum members. Okay, great. Okay, let's talk about parks and Freddie. So, Freddie, welcome. Unless someone else has some conservation membership. Okay, great. So, park updates, Eagle, Memorial, Sycamore, etc. Meredith is not able to be here today to talk about the disc golf course or the rec department, but we're joined by Freddie on his own. So thank you for being here, and we'd love to hear from you, and take it away.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm the new rec coordinator. I just came on, I'd say about 4.5 weeks ago. I actually just came back from a long training up in Lake Maury. Let me not lie. It wasn't that long. It was actually the most enjoyable thing in the world. So let me not sit there. I actually got a vacation from my daughter for 2 days, so it was actually beautiful. So let me not say that. No, I came on 4.5 weeks. I feel like I came on at the right time because we have so many events going on right now from September to October to November to December. I feel like it's a whirlwind right now. I'm trying to learn every single thing in the world as possible. I'll say I came from National Church Residence. Before that, I actually worked with the Boys and Girls Club. I actually opened up, I think there's 6 Boys and Girls Clubs in Rutland County. I opened up 4 to 6 of them. I was a real big advocate for teens. I used to fight hard for my teens, and then we end up the Boys and Girls Club went to the wayside where they gave up on the teens. So they lost the employee when they gave up on the teens. The new motto was the Boys and Girls Club was a 12 and under because they can find the state pays for it and everything. So that was a new motto. So and then when I heard about the hub, I used to run the Brandon Boys and Girls Club for a little bit, and I used to bring my teens up here. And then when I heard about the hub position was open, I was like, I always enjoyed the community. I always enjoyed coming up here, using the skate park. And honestly, I feel like everybody I met every time I came up here was always fair, was always welcoming and everything like that. And I was like, I got to take this job. I got to at least throw my ring in the hat and everything like that. And I say, luckily, I actually got the job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So it sounds like your previous work experience has been a lot with the hub and it's like teen side. What do you envision your work with us being from the like conservation park side of things?
Honestly, I know you guys were talking about the disc golf. I know whatever put it like this, whatever Meredith would let me to do, I'm 100% with it. I remember talking about the when I first came on, I don't know, the lady in the blue jacket right there. I remember she was talking about, yes. I remember you were talking about the fishing, the little fishing thing down there. I had so many ideals and I wanted to actually connect with you one day about some ideals and everything like that down there. But honestly, if I can help by any kind of way, I'm here. Any kind of help you guys need or anything like that, I'm here. I'm always willing to help and learn whatever you want.
Excellent. Freddie, my name's Kristen Underwood, by the way.
Hello, Miss Bristol. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right.
Have you had a chance to visit any of our town parks yet? I know you've only been here a short time, but.
I promise Meredith showed me all around. I've been
good.
all, I actually I went to the park that we were talking about. I saw everything up there. I went to Memorial Park. I think Memorial Park Meredith and I got stung at actually. It was so I got introduced the right way. I got introduced. But no, I've been to every single park so far. The trails I haven't got to see yet as much. So I haven't saw that part, but I saw everything else.
Cool.
Alex often did sort of a walkthrough of the parks on Fridays. I was wondering if that was something that like a practice that you were planning on doing as well.
if that's what was done, I'll keep it going. I don't mind.
Cool.
Yeah, that can be really valuable information for us to know, oh, this picnic table's falling apart, or there's trash, or this is an issue, or maybe new ideas about things from sort of the boots on the ground perspective could be nice.
No, that's no
Isn't it-
problem. I can take that up. That's no problem.
Hey,
Yeah.
Freddie, are you still able to be in touch with Alex as far as kind of a little bit of a transition? Obviously, you're 4+ weeks into it, but are you able to still be in touch with him?
I have not been in touch with Alex right now. Honestly, we've been all out. We've been all out right now with every single thing. So I
Yeah.
haven't really like. I think I was supposed to see Alex during the training this week or the last 2 days, but I didn't. I honestly, there was so many people there that I couldn't even connect with him.
I would imagine he's a pretty friendly guy, and if you did want to reach out to him, he's a great resource. I think he had been with the department for at least, I know, 2 years. I'd say probably 3 or more, right?
I think they said 5.
Something like that.
5,
Yeah, a few
yeah.
years. I'm not really sure how many.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's, might be helpful if at some point just getting a sense of, some of the things that he did and the way he did it, and then you're going to have your own take on it. And it's been a great opportunity to have that crossover collaboration with the rec park and our working together through the commission.
Oh, it's no problem. No, we will definitely keep it going. I promise.
Wonderful.
Did you?
Oh, we were going the same direction.
Okay. Great. Other thoughts?
We could give an update of what we know about the parks.
Yeah, that sounds
maybe?
great. Yeah, so we generally talk about Eagle Memorial, Sycamore, Saunders River access, and then sort of other, if something else comes up, since there are other small parcels around too.
Yeah.
What's something to talk about?
So we do, as you know, you saw the fishing platform at Eagle Park. And I've been hearing in the last few days that we have, FEMA has approved funding to make the repairs, which is a good thing. Doc Doctors has been authorized to go there, and their first step is to use a crane to raise and re-level the platform, and then take measurements to fabricate the bolts that will be connecting to the big boulders. Then they go back to their shop, fabricate those, and then come back out and install them. So that they've been authorized to do that. They're just fitting that into their schedule. And then the other repairs probably at this point are going to have to wait until next construction season, I would imagine. But the engineer, SLR Corporation, is going to provide an update to Valerie any day now. She just reached out today to ask for an update, and so in the next couple of days I'll forward on whatever Roy says. So let's see what else is going on at other parks. Memorial Forest Park, I don't know if Meredith told you this, Freddie, but there's the bridge there that is in structural, it's not in disrepair, but it has a short life structurally, and we're actively trying to fundraise or seek grants that might afford some rehabilitation of those trails there, and perhaps maybe some repairs or rehabilitation of the bridge.
I was gonna say I know the stairs or something too there.
Yeah.
It's kind
There
of
were
rough.
these rickety, really steep wooden stairs that this commission tore down in 2019 because they were really unsafe. And then we put the blockades there to prevent people from going over the edge. And really, we've shut off those trails, especially in the winter when it's icy. Sycamore Park, we're in the process of rewriting the management plan there. And what else is going on there? Let's see. Managing the orchard.
Yeah,
We're
and the
managing
parking
those.
lot.
Small orchard there in the parking lot.
The parking lot needs repairs often, and so that was something that the rec department and the conservation commission have pooled together to be the squeaky wheel on that topic, because that can get really
I would
bad.
add in the pollinator garden, as well as trying to
Oh,
manage the knotweed that is quite a challenge.
I don't know if manage is the right term. I think we sort of give it up on that one, but.
How did that, I sort of lost track, Helen, about all the watering that was needed of the pollinator garden this year. How did that come out? Except you're muted.
You're still muted, Helen,
Yep,
somehow.
got it. I wondered if there's a keystroke to unmute rather than going to the little microphone. Yeah, I think so. What happened is Mike Kiernan spread a lot of annual seeds of annual plants. Many of those didn't germinate or they died very quickly, but some in the corner nearest the parking lot really flourished. I watered 2 or 3 times, bringing water from, in a massive cooler from my house and hauling it. A rain barrel, at one point someone mentioned getting access to a rain barrel, which would help a lot.
Yes, that same someone recycled the rain barrels that were in his. Yes. Is terribly ashamed of it. But yeah, I got nothing more. That was a drag.
Well, so I'm looking for a rain barrel for personal purposes at my house. And when I posted that on Front Porch Forum, someone wrote me and said, they're free on Craigslist. Just go to Craigslist and find them. And there are some, but they're in Williston and Richmond, and I don't really want to drive that far. If anyone hears of anything locally, all we have to do is put it up in a corner of the garden or near the garden. And even without a spigot, we can just use a watering can and get stuff out. That would make things a whole lot easier for next year. So the perennial plants out there are beautiful and huge, and with the rain tonight should be quite happy. So a lot of the plants survived. It looks, it's not as rich or filled in as the Eagle Park garden, but it's lovely and it'll get there eventually.
Cool.
That's such a positive update. I thought for sure you'd be like, it all died in the drought.
No, it's lovely. Yeah, no, the perennials he planted are 5 or 6 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Neat.
And I go in periodically and pull out sumac.
Yep.
I may have a rain barrel that I can check on, so I have to look into that.
Okay.
After all the effort I went through to get those gigantous rain barrels out of the attic of the barn and throw them at the transfer station, it's a little bit of a bummer that there's suddenly a run on rain barrels.
Mention this.
A run on rain barrels. What a Bristol phenomenon.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sycamore, lots going on. Sycamore is big and has lots going on there with rec and with conservation. And then as is Eagle, and then Saunders River access. Have you been to that one, Freddie? The Saunders River access, yeah, it's less.
No, I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's less park-like and more sort of ecological function is sort of the point of that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to
the
your baby.
the main goal of that park is to dissipate the flood waters when we have high water, and so and allow them to slowly infiltrate back into the groundwater. So it has more of that purpose, and it's an access to the river for anglers. And then some folks ride their horses back through there, and hike some of the trails back through there. But it's primarily a stormwater management park for the town of Bristol.
And that's on the river past downtown, but past the village really, but before you get to Sycamore.
Yeah.
Freddie, if you're interested in seeing that, you need a guide.
All right.
It took me a year to finally wrangle someone to show me where it was, because it's on the map and everyone was saying, oh, it's right here. There's a road. And finally, Kristen showed me precisely where it is. So
Yeah.
if you want to go, just contact one of us and we'll take you there.
All right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But in the
do.
meantime, I would say don't worry about it, because
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time trying to find it and could not.
Yeah. It's not so much Parks and Rec, it's more just, conservation.
Yeah,
Less weekly updates and things, yeah.
for sure.
Okay, great. So I was wondering, Freddie, is there anything that you would think in terms of conservation or parks that you have, like maybe a pet project or something you were thinking about that you would want to collaborate with us, or just here to hear what we're up to?
I'm just here to listen today. The only thing I was just thinking about, like the little place down there with the fishing, with the little fishing that.
Go Park, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was just thinking about maybe putting more access to it, maybe putting more like a flyer or something more, put it out there more. I know I used to work with the handicap. I know that'd be a perfect spot right there for them to come out with the access with the wheelchairs and everything like that, and maybe just show other towns that we have that going on and everything. That right there. But I know first they got to get fixed first before we. But
Yeah, and Jono's ramp is very nice, but
Yeah.
not technically up to code, but very useful. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming. And I think if everyone's good, we can move on to the next agenda item. Is that good? Okay, perfect. So
Right.
let's talk about, oh, go on. Anyone else? No. Okay. So let's talk about wildlife tracking. We had a big meeting talking about this last month. We dedicated our entire September month to this topic. So we could do a little bit of next steps and a little bit of a debrief of that discussion. And I think there was something maybe Kirsten and Jana wanted to say on that about, Amos, something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Amos Martin suggested, I know that we talked about 6 key species to track.
Okay.
And Sophie had kind of guided us toward that list of 6.
Mhm.
And Amos felt strongly that deer should be included. He felt that they deserve to be tracked as well. And so he strongly wanted us to consider adding a 7th species, white-tailed deer.
And Kirsten, just to add into that, I think some of his thinking was that the citizen scientists, so to speak, those that are hunters might be more apt to be helpful, not only just with deer, but because deer were included, to be looking out for other animals as well, or the other 6.
Yeah.
I was not at that meeting. What were the other 6?
Bobcat,
Bear.
bear.
I have them written
Yeah,
down.
I can get it, yeah, it's in my notes.
Go ahead, Helen.
Otter, moose, bear, fisher, mink, and bobcat.
There you have it.
You have it.
The idea being that they were in.
They're kind of indicators. Species.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're indicators
Yeah.
of habitats is the idea, yeah.
Yeah. We also received, within the last week or so, a proposal from Sophie Mazzuito, who was there at the September meeting. And honestly, I haven't read through it. Have you read through it yet? I'm
I
just reading it on the
did.
fly here.
I did read through it. I don't exactly,
What she offers is a list of,
a la carte menu.
it's kind of, yeah, like an a la carte menu of different things that could be done, and then the pricing for all of that. And, kind of soup to nuts, like,
And then she has sort of a package deal at the end. Like, if I did all this realistically with this many days, with this, and that's like sort of a final, if you wanted all of it, sort of price as well.
right.
With just things we talked about, different kinds of days of tracking. It would take so much time to look in these kinds of places, or the different things we had talked about that were possibilities. She just sort of went through and put prices on those, basically. And
I'm going to imagine that well
like how long it
exceeds I'm gonna imagine that that well exceeds our budget, so that would be something we'd need to apply for a grant and other
Yeah.
fundraising, maybe?
It's
Okay,
only our $300 operating budget, yes.
right.
And we're
But it's
just-
within, I think within shooting distance of a grant. It's not something phenomenally out of control.
And
Um,
at this point, we're just not being
Yeah,
public
so it'd
about
be
those
cool,
dollars.
yeah.
Because in case we did go out and get a bid from some other wildlife consultant, we didn't want that information to be shared publicly
Right.
at the moment, but.
Right, in one version of the draft minutes, I said, oh, we got this correspondence, and we thought, oh, wait, maybe that should be public in case we wanna have someone else bid, just in case, I don't know, but that's why we're being coy about the specific numbers.
Do you want to make that document accessible to all of us or not?
Just to the BCC,
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
send it.
I could do that right now, would that be
Well,
good?
no,
No, okay.
Okay. If we want to spend the time, I can read through this, but I didn't know if we wanted to spend the time on that or just more generally people's feedback from September and what you thought how you thought
Yeah.
we should proceed going forward.
I had someone I wanted to share. I spoke with Middlebury College's mammologist, Alexis Mikhailo, and she's excited to come speak with us sometime at one of our meetings sometime. I told her our timeline is the town plan report, and so we have time. We don't have to make her come to this meeting. But she was excited to talk about the project and to get students involved, or to advise a student to do summer research, who could track for us in the summer.
Cool.
So she was very excited about no, easy. We can throw one or two students on that in the
I
summer.
wonder, could one or two of those students work with someone like Sophie as well?
I
It
have
might
no
help
idea.
her
I mean,
efforts go longer if she's got helpers.
Yeah.
right, yeah,
And it'd probably be amazing. for
right,
them.
Right, right.
Or how much of that would Alexis do as a mammologist, right?
Right,
Like, so,
true, good point.
because she's a professional in that field, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure she would, she was talking about doing camera traps and students, and I mean, they're pretty well trained even in the undergrad just course, much less a research student. So maybe we could see in terms of experience what we could get from a student that we could do work, and then versus or if there's courses that she's not teaching a senior seminar, which is the best way to like churn students through a project. She's not doing one of those this year, but in the future she said, oh, maybe that could be a possibility where she'd have 20 students that could come out and like run things for us. So she said she wanted to come and speak sometime, and was all like, she was like, done. I mean, it was like a 5-minute conversation in the hallway. She's like, yeah, done, yeah, we'll do it. We'll just do the animals. I'm like, okay. But I think it's just, students are always looking to work with her.
Mhm.
And if it's, and Milbert will cover some summer stipend for students and stuff, so.
Cool,
So we definitely could get some work that way on this project, I think.
yeah.
So
Carolyn, it sounds like that's a wonderful connection, and I guess it raises the question of an approximate timeline. We don't want to lose some of the momentum, particularly if you've got an excited colleague that would like to pull in some students. And furthermore, whatever grants are out there, I kind of think this is pretty topical. So I imagine that the grants are probably pretty free flowing, hopefully, for something like this. Others probably have a better idea of that. But I also wouldn't want to rush into it. So maybe we should think about the time frame of how to develop this so it's pretty comprehensive, and then figure out a rollout time because it might be around set up around the grants, because the grants have certain. I know I'm going to be applying for a matching barn grant in December, so I don't know what the dates are for these other type of grants.
Sorry, we all keep looking up. There's a
very
giant
weird.
screen of all of you that's up, but if we look down, then we can't really always see you. So if you're wondering what the eyeballs are all about.
I don't exactly know how you utilize this information, but in New York, when you buy an archery license, you get a link in an email to a log that's like your archer's log, and a lot of people do this. It's kind of a neat thing, but you're supposed to like take sightings of whatever you see from a tree stand every day, and it's totally a thing a lot of people participate in. Not every archer by any means, but you had different categories of what different things you saw and whatnot, and to find some way to like replicate that here. I mean, that's done on a state level, so like everybody that buys a license gets it, which is, you know, hard for us to pull off. But it does seem like the citizen science element of this, like during hunting season, you have several hundred people in Addison County sitting in a tree, not moving, looking around
Right,
for, you know, several hours a week.
totally.
I don't know if we could do something like that on a townwide level and send a, you know, find a way to replicate that log that New York does, but that would be a really tremendous
And as I
and
recall,
free.
from speaking with you previously, it's when the first snow falls that really starts happening. Is that
Yeah,
right?
well, so what New York does is they do it during archery season, which is really before snowfall, but it's also
Okay.
when the greatest volume of people hunting from stands is over there, which is like when you see most of the other stuff. Like you don't generally bump into fishers during rifle season when you're walking around, like, whereas like in a tree stand, you see all kinds of stuff, so it's a very useful
But that's
information
happening
gathering.
now, so if you
But
wanted
yeah,
to
archery
get-
season
But this
going
would be
on right
something
now,
we
so
would
this
have
might be
to
next.
roll out for next year.
Yeah.
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 And
Alex,
that was
it-
something that Amos brought up last month, was that like, yeah, that like at this time of year and even like the months prior, game cameras are getting out there.
Right.
And that's just information.
Like everybody has, nowadays, like
Yeah.
everybody with a hunting license in Bristol has 3 trail cameras out. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's,
Yeah.
there's a
That's
ton
a
of
lot of information.
useful information being gathered that I don't know that like people would be reluctant to share, honestly, if. you know.
Right, that
If
was
we
my
would or
thought.
Yeah, wouldn't be, I think, of, like, I mean, you know, without being terribly specific about people's hunting spots, like sharing whether you're seeing fish or cats kicking around is something
Right.
people would be way into.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
You put
wonder
a
if,
Facebook page together.
I was gonna say, what if you could just
like,
have people just put those photos on, we can get a student just to go through the photos.
Yeah,
I'm big on putting students on projects.
Yeah.
You get the hunters, I'll get the
Right.
students.
Yeah, we're talking about two different things. One is, yes, some people hunt bears, but people don't hunt bobcats that I'm aware of. And so that information is not proprietary per se in terms of a hunting spot. So deer would be. But my question, Alex, is there a time in a hunter's mind where there's maybe more activity in terms of animals traversing corridors and so on? And I would think the fall is a time where animals are kind of, from squirrels to acorns and everything else, are moving around a little bit more than maybe other times of the year. Is that a fair
Well,
assessment?
yeah, I mean, it depends a little bit on the critter, like, animals that, give birth they're mating in the spring, for instance, are more active then, like turkeys are all over the place in the spring, but the fall for most mammals is time we're putting the feed bag on, there's hard mast on the ground, it's the time of stocking up food for winter, and it's the best time to get tabs on what's out there and see things on the move in daylight, and right now is the moment for sure.
I mean, maybe that presents the idea of a time frame that we shoot to see between Carolyn's connection with her colleague, maybe Alex thinking of some possible ways to coordinate with some getting the word out to hunters and deer cams and other means that we can involve citizen scientist observations and then also look into the grant timelines, and maybe that's the rollout, a year from now.
Yeah, I honestly think a Facebook page that if people were invited to share photos of interesting trail camera pictures could be a thing that people would be into posting on, and would be very easy for us to set up, and could be a pretty, but it would be, like you say, it's next year, it's a month ago next year kind of thing.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, I like the idea of like the citizen, like getting the community involved,
Yeah.
which is the something that Sophie was suggesting. It was more of like, what could she do? Like, could she, where could she go in the town, and how many days would it take her to scope things out? So
Yeah,
I think it's certainly like a multi-pronged approach.
yeah,
Right.
the more the better.
Yeah.
I imagine a map with like little pins. Let's say a green pin represents the bobcat and a red pin represents the bear, and so on. And on the town map of Bristol, those could be plotted, and therefore, maybe that's a very primitive mode. There's obviously more computer ways to do it all, but that's the general idea of what we'd be sort of aiming for, I think.
I guess one question for her might be whether or not she wanted all of that citizen science to be done before she would do her work or after, or if she'd want to be in conjunction,
Right?
like
That's a
how
good
she
question.
likes to work.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
both.
and I
Would it be
think
helpful to
too.
like have it ahead of time, be like, okay, so we've pinpointed some clear spots, or,
Right.
yeah. I don't know.
Well, I wonder too, is it the thing where we get, where we could have, we were saying, how does this become actionable, right? How do we get a map that is, this is the answer, or this is at least useful, right? And so I wonder if we have, different kinds of data that can come together with one, maybe a master's student, or we get a Middlebury thesis student to like come together and be like, okay, this is my project, just like pulling all these lines of evidence together.
Mhm.
Make the
Right.
map that John was talking about.
Exactly,
Yeah.
make the map, like, figure out like what are the corridors, what can we tell from all of this, right?
Right.
And this seems like an honors thesis to me, but maybe you
Yeah.
think it's a master's thesis, because that's
Oh,
where
honors
you're
thesis
at,
too, yeah.
right?
There are funding sources available. There's the municipal planning grant that we talked about. But honestly, I looked into that today. It's pretty involved application.
Oh,
It's,
really?
you need to make the case that the funds are not available in any other way. And it also has to tie to a true planning task at the town, which is an easy case to make, because we would be incorporating the end product in the town plan. And it's due December 1st, and we would need to get select board approval and all this kind of stuff. So I came away from my research today thinking, I really don't want to, I don't have the time, first of
In
all,
6 weeks.
to pull all that together.
No,
But
yeah.
also reading through this quote, which, and again, we'll send you a copy
Mhm.
so you all can look through as well. It could almost be tackled piece by piece with small grants.
Mhm.
And there are places like Neat Repeats has a small grant program, and I can look on the Vermont Community Foundation's webpage. They have regionally specific grants available for like Addison County towns. And that would be my thought, is to, if we all.
And the
as a-
Association of Vermont Conservation Commission, so they have
Yep,
small
they have little
grants
mini
too,
grants,
every
600 to 800
every 6
bucks.
months or something, right?
Yep.
How
So
about the
maybe
McClure? Isn't the
yeah, maybe
McClure?
McClure.
Yeah.
So maybe if in the next month, our homework can be just to review this quote and think about which of the tasks that Sophie lays out here that kind of appeal to you the most, or you think we should start with first. Then in the meantime, I'll be looking for smallish grants, and maybe we can match those up. And those kind of grants are easy. Like, I think Neat Repeats, you just write them a letter with your proposal of what you want to do, and then if they like the idea, they grant you the money, and then you write them a short letter at the end to say this is how we spent your money.
I think that's about a 500 amount, right?
Yeah, anywhere from 500 to 2,000. Like from the Riverwatch group, we've gotten them for a few $1,000.
okay.
In my
Great.
notes from last meeting, I wrote down that Cornwall has done a wildlife inventory of the town. Go to page 98 of their town report or town plan. I wonder, how did they do that? How did they come up with a wildlife inventory of their town? So would it be worth inquiring from them?
Yeah, that was Mary Dodge, and she kind of did go through how they pieced that together. I think it was mostly they had game cameras out, but they may have also
They
paid a
had a
consultant.
consultant,
Yeah.
yeah, they had a consultant and they came, but their only concern with it in the end was that none of it was verified.
Yeah,
But that is how they got their information, was through the citizens, but also very much through the consultant.
yeah.
What, you had mentioned that we were talking about this meeting, I don't think I remember or fully understood at the time what being verified means in this regard. Is this the state saying you're right? Or
No,
what
I
is
think
it?
it's more that it's a trained wildlife consultant that verifies a citizen report.
So their consultant wasn't
Yeah,
enough
the
to
consultant came in
verify
and
it,
did
or-
like a lot of the public areas and then coordinated a lot of it or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then didn't, yeah.
Verification means those that can tell the difference between a bobcat and a bear.
Right? Pretty much, yeah.
I think it's also hard to think about, just because we generated data doesn't mean we like, how, we have to think about what conclusions we are capable of drawing from those, and then what that would mean and how we can use that. I mean, if you're gonna create a study, you wanna set up a study in such a way that the data you've bothered to collect is meaningful in the end, right? And so I think,
Well, we do
right,
have
if we
this,
wanna make, our output, we wanna map, right? And then what is actionable with that map that we could have for the zoning commission, right? Like what do you do with it to make it useful, I think, was something that Cornwall has certainly struggled with, right?
well, we kind of have that started, right, with the question of the trail network and its proximity to wildlife corridors, right? That's kind of what got this all rolling for us, wasn't it,
It
basically?
did.
So we could
Yeah.
look at it kind of through that lens, right? That it's-
Well, but that's a whole different thing, whether or not a primitive trail influences animals, right? I mean,
the other
that's,
thing.
because even the class, what was that, what's the PATA's, the beaver meadow, right? It's the top highest class
Oh,
wetland, right? But primitive trail is not incompatible with that, and it's the most protected you can be outside of national forest, I think, right? So I don't, right, like, I don't know how that would play into that, right, but that would be like a different
Right.
question.
That's kind of
I
another
guess.
different, that's sort of another thing.
We've sort of drifted from that, I
Yeah.
feel, because, yeah, even she said that the primitive trail, you could cut a trail through
Yeah.
that wetland, that was
But,
fine, it's
well,
allowable use, so.
Yeah, the question of like, I think it's more murkier than that, though, like whether it actually does impact
Oh, of
privacy,
course.
is like
Oh,
how
no,
much
yeah.
use.
But
and,
I'm
like,
saying
are
as
people
the-
running their dogs all over the place off the leash and are,
As the
you know,
town, I
Yeah,
can't legally say like, oh, this is, primitive trail is allowed in conservation
Yeah.
areas, right? Just that particular example, right?
Yeah.
Like road cuts might be different, I don't, right, but like, I think a primitive trail I know specifically is allowed.
Yeah. So, but what, as I remember, like Amos and the other local folks that wanted us to look at this were asking for us to like give our 2 cents to the trail network, right? That was
Yeah.
basically our directive, right?
Yeah, that was where it started, yeah.
Yeah. Are we have we concluded that process, or is this?
I think
this
that
is
at this
gone from that?
point, they need to have a surveyor come in, and I think in the end, the select board had said that it was private, not-for-profit, interacting with private property, and it really isn't the town's place to say anything about
Yeah.
that. Was my understanding of the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's not really our purview.
Yeah.
We were sort of present to listen and to witness and to give support, but ultimately that's not.
Yeah.
So the town can get involved with. The thoughts about wildlife tracking. I'll try to see if Alexis Mikhailo could come in either in person or on Zoom for our next meeting.
Okay.
She could talk about some ideas she had about students and involvement of courses and her 2 cents as well. I mean, she's very involved in wildlife management and wild small woodland creatures. So she's always yeah, I mean, she works with various agencies and hunters and trappers and is really connected and sort of knows the area and is knowing more about the longer she's here. She's lived there for a couple of years, so I think her perspective could be really interesting.
So this is going to be an ongoing topic on our agenda for potentially maybe as long as Alex put it, a month ago, sometime up to September, something like that.
We never have anything to talk about in winter, so what better,
Right. When is the best time to check in about minute taking and that part of it? Because when Amos Martin was registering his comments and Kirsten and I received that email, I just thought, when is the best place to discuss that with the meeting tonight?
Oh, I don't know. Either we can talk about minutes at the end or we can talk now. I don't know what it is you're trying to both say, so.
Well, I don't want to speak for Chris.
Already, well, although, was it already the comment we made about the video? Because we've already discussed that.
Yeah, I think he just felt that the full extent of the conversation wasn't completely reflected in the minutes, and
Yeah.
Personally, as a past note taker, I feel a little defensive on behalf of Zaylee. Like, it's
Yeah.
really a hard thing to
It's really
capture
hard.
everything that's discussed in a meeting in the minutes.
And we have the
And
video.
it's not really what the minutes
And
are.
it's not what the minutes are really designed for, so.
Especially because, yeah, Sophie has just like had so much to say that it's hard to be like,
Yeah.
to sum it up without giving a full account of every word she said.
Totally, yeah. And that was kind of a different situation too. It was an hour and a half meeting on just that one topic, and it was a rambling conversation. So at the same time, though, I appreciate that Amos felt maybe that some aspects of the conversation weren't captured. And so I think it's a good solution
Yeah.
to link them
I
to
think
the
that
video. But
we have
John, you may have a different perspective, so.
Yeah, my perspective is, having been on other boards, and I can appreciate the need for brevity within the minutes, is that maybe as little as one sentence, because I think it's important to show representation when we have someone in attendance to a meeting. So not just that their name is mentioned at the top as a guest in the meeting, but Amos contributed a fair amount to the dialogue. And I think, just one sentence, Amos Martin attended our meeting, and as part of the stage of the discussion, A, B, and C, or how, some way to do it in a very condensed form, but not to go on as a whole paragraph per se. I'm trying to strike the balance of brevity, but inclusion.
So
Yeah.
my question about this is this came up, I don't know, a year or so ago. And we talked about privacy and making sure not to include names during the discussions, and especially I would think members of the public. So I am curious how to go forward. So not just like last month, but how should we go forward with that? Because this is something we discussed super briefly over email and then never discussed in person.
Right.
So it's probably time
Yeah.
to discuss
Why-
what balance we want
Yeah.
with that. Did
Yeah.
we
My
just
sim-
say discussions and what people actually said verbatim in
No,
the video?
no, I
or
think
do
that,
we say
no, we can't expect to do that, just because maybe right now you
Right.
type quickly. I mean, Jana, when you come to meetings, you write on the back of an envelope. Like, there's no way you could capture verbatim sentiments from people that way, right? Like,
Well, minutes
So-
are generally not meant to capture verbatim. They're just, try to sort of summary. But I think my response to Zaley would be sort of finding a half and half, which is ask the member that's present to say, would you like us to have your comments, some of them anyway, or in a summary form included, or would you like them not to be? I don't know if that's too cumbersome.
maybe that is the answer is to ask.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially in something that's somewhat of a conflict, which is,
The impression I got when I read the email, Kristen, was that he was kind of felt like he gave his thoughts to the meeting, but there was no way, if anyone was ever to just read only the minutes, to know what Amos's contributions were. So I thought that's where, but Kristen had a very smart way to respond to that, which is, yes, but there have been meetings when we haven't had the recorded video of the meetings. So that was fortunate that we had that to refer back to.
Yeah, and I think in the past, there may have been topics that were sensitive where we were extra concerned about privacy, whereas this particular meeting, I guess, Amos came of his own free will and knew that it was being recorded, and so I'm sure there was no expectation on his part of privacy. And so maybe, and Jim has a thought too.
Having been involved in these type of boards over the past 20 years, suggestively, you make your minutes, as Jono says, concise and quick, and you make a referral for further results, for further information, refer to Conservation Commission's binder. You should have a binder that should be kept at Town Hall, where it has all your information in it, all your emails and all your correspondence, because all that becomes part of the public record with the public Right to Know Act. So you should have that available in case anyone wants to read it. You make it available. You don't have to specifically say it in your notes, in your minutes, but make a referral that they can go to the Town Hall, to the Conservation Commission folder. If you go in Town Hall, I know you guys are at Town Hall now, right behind you. There are,
Yeah.
see all those books down there? Okay, maybe you could include that in there. Comes a part of the public record. If anyone's interested, they can go and look at it. Suggestion.
Thank you.
You know, Jim, there's 2 spots open on the Conservation Commission if you want to join us formally.
20 years I put in as Police Advisory Board Chairman, didn't even get a thank you for when I left. So no, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
We'll thank you, you're here anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. Well, it sounds
Does
like
that help, Zaley?
Sort of. I'm not sure where we landed.
Well, the idea of just clearing it with people before using
Yeah.
that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, maybe if it seems, if it seems
I could, we
like
could,
something
you know, if you
should
want, I could
be-
also talk to Valerie about what best practices for select board, for example, and we could follow their. lead,
Yeah,
if that would be-
yeah, whatever they do.
Yeah.
And
That
then,
seems like-
Yep.
and then at the end of, anything, at the end of each minutes, I think we should say, full discussions are available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, I think we'll just follow whatever the best
Because
practice.
there's a million parts of our meetings that are obviously never gonna make it into the
Sure.
minutes. So
Yeah.
if you
I think we
want
should just
to
follow the
do
best
that.
practice set by the select board, and we'll see what they do, and then
That's
we
a
can follow.
great
it,
idea.
Right?
Love that
That
idea.
sounds easy.
What
Plus, I
what-
think it's still.
Maybe
it's done, right?
Right,
So I
yeah.
think you're fine. You're doing great. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean,
You're-
I just want to make sure that I'm
These are
doing
the
it
best
the way
minutes.
that
These are the
everyone
best,
likes.
most in-depth minutes we've ever had under you doing this. So
Well,
thank
but
you
then I
for
got
helping.
too in depth for a while. I was taking like notes like I was in a lecture. So
We want you to be
Sit
part of the
down.
conversation too, is the problem, right?
Yeah,
Like we don't
right.
have someone who's a clerk who can just sit there separate, right? Like you might have in like a business
Right,
setting, right? So
right.
you're still a member to be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And not to be ignored because you're just typing, right? So we need to hear your voice, and that means you have to make a balance, I think, right?
yeah. So we'll see what they say about
Yeah,
the practices select board, how they do it, and we'll go with those rules.
that sounds great.
And then at the end of every minutes, we'll put in.
If it's
Yeah.
still
Those
it's
links to the-
available,
yeah.
yeah, that sounds lovely.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Great. Okay, so we have about 30 minutes left for our normally scheduled time. We'd like to move on to the risk map.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Great, let's do that.
So the town received a letter from FEMA that they're updating the floodplain mapping for the New Haven River and also a part of Otter Creek, which doesn't really impact us. And so that letter was forwarded to all the boards. Carolyn got one, passed it to me. There's a process, there's a full discovery report, they call it, that provides a lot of the details of this updated mapping.
Did that come out today? I think I saw it in my email.
Did it come today?
Something, I think so.
Because I went through the process, it's kind of alarming, but to get access to download the report, you had to like sign away your fifth-born child, agree that they can take pictures of you through the computer and track your IP address and all Department of Interior stuff. So I signed up for everything, and then there was no report there when I finally got into the SharePort. So I contacted the person. I said, look, I'm getting an error. There's no report, and I haven't heard from them. So all we have to date is this letter saying there is a report available. It does indicate that they will be remapping.
Oh, no, maybe I got that same thing twice in a row. You're right.
I
don't
think
know.
that's
That's what it was. They sent the same letter a second time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, as soon as we get access to that, I'll download it and share it with folks, but.
Because it only had 30 days for commenting, didn't
But we
it?
only have 30 days for comment, so we couldn't
So,
continue to discuss it as this board. We would have to just address it as individual citizens if we wanted to.
Wait, and where did you say this was for?
The floodplain mapping will be updated along the New Haven River
Just all along the
from the confluence with Otter Creek to approximately 2,400 feet above the confluence with Cody Brook in Lincoln, Vermont. So they're gonna remap the floodplains from down below where the Dog Team Tavern used to be, all the way upriver to, on the way to Lincoln. And that will involve, so we may see USGS folks with trucks and equipment and wading in the river and collecting cross sections and so forth and so on. And then they're also going to redo the hydraulic models. So
What's the date of that letter or their 30-day period?
October 7th, the letter is dated.
7th. If for
And-
some reason we felt that, assuming there is a copy available, that we wanted to comment on it as a commission, we could move the date of our next month's meeting up by maybe a week or so. Just
Yeah, it
if
says-
that was, go ahead.
It says you have to talk no later than November 7th, 2022 to the project manager.
Yeah, so that's my point, that we would move the
Yeah.
meeting up just by, enough to convene a meeting a week earlier in order to comment if it's deemed by either Kristen or whoever might be able to get access to an actual report that wasn't available through the error. That would be my workarounds if it was, important to have a comment from the commission, which would carry more weight than just individual citizens.
Yeah, I guess we
Have
could
they
do.
done it yet, or are they going to do
They're
it?
going to be.
So we don't have the, okay.
Yeah, so, and it's a standard process. It happens all around the state, all around the US for that matter. So I don't know that there's a lot that we would need to comment on, but,
Yeah,
they're at least offering that opportunity.
yeah, it says, if your community is listed in table 1 and you would like to discuss the modeling, please contact the project manager no later than November 7th, 2022. We consider all comments and suggestions received during the period about model selection. When it has an address. So, but if this is, I wasn't sure if this was pretty standard or if this was something that you thought that we would want to be involved in.
It is quite standard.
Okay,
And so I would think, hopefully we'll get access to the report
I tried
And
to
I
just
can
go
share
to
it
it,
with you.
yeah, it said it couldn't, it wasn't valid.
before the next meeting, and we can make that decision. As John O says, we could decide if we wanted to warn a meeting earlier, but I would expect probably there's not going to be much in here that's
Right,
surprising or unusual.
so the comment period ends on the 7th and our next meeting would be on the 10th,
Okay.
So right, so.
I'm confused. It seems like there's a 30-day comment period, but yet there's going to be boots on the ground to form this report, or is that all happened and the report is completed? We just don't have access to it at this juncture.
It says they started in September of 2019. And they're,
Things got delayed though, as a result of COVID.
Yeah.
The letter doesn't say that, but I just know that anecdotally, but.
I feel like I saw people in the river once when I was going to the Lincoln Library.
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing people? They looked like they were doing something official.
Something special.
They were wearing orange vests.
No fishing poles?
It does sound.
Yeah, they were wearing, they didn't have fishing
Orange
poles.
vests in the river does sound
So
suspiciously
the-
official.
I know the last time that this was done, if I recall, they expanded the floodplain, which impacted quite a number of homeowners insurance policies. That's a little bit of my recollection. Kristen's probably has the most experience as to what ramifications of the previous boundaries of where they and timelines for a 500-year flood, a 100-year flood, et cetera, but I don't know, until we have something to look at, it would be very hard to comment, obviously.
Yeah, so this says the Otter Creek Watershed Discovery Report, which collates information presented at the discovery meetings, information collected from communities prior to, at, and following the discovery meetings, and other information collected from other sources. using this information that we collected during the discovery process, the following water bodies in the Otter Creek watershed were selected for detailed studies: the New Haven River and the Otter Creek. And that's that. So as a result of the discovery process, they determined that they would be updating the floodplain maps for New Haven River and for a section of the Otter Creek. So the field work and the modeling work is yet to be done, but what's available to us now is this discovery report that compiled all the data they used to and relied upon to make that determination that they do need to do a new floodplain maps for these two water bodies.
So maybe this 30 days is really more about, selecting modeling and our input as to how the study should, best proceed. And I don't have too many choices of any suggestions of different models, so.
Right.
It's not at all clear to me what a conservation commission who's responsible for the parks of Bristol could comment on, right? So FEMA may determine that much of Sycamore Park is in a flood zone, but we don't insure Sycamore Park against floods. So it's not clear to me that what we would comment on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, for example, things might be just local knowledge of past flood events. That if they're not captured in that discovery report, then we could point them toward that information. I think that's the kind of thing I think that they're anticipating.
Huh.
Yeah.
Also, what I recall is probably, sometime within the last year, that camp that was very close to the river that theoretically should not have been sort of set up down in the river. Remember that, Kristen, out by the hogback? And the question was, yeah, there you go. And so I think that had some bearing on, did we have some comments in terms of the planning commission? And I don't remember all the threads of that, but that was another instance of where somebody was building too close to the river. If the river flooded, would it be taking that shelter and pushing it downstream because it got washed out? And what are the ramifications of that, et cetera, et cetera. So there probably are things that, yeah, we would be wise to have some concern about, but they're probably going to go forge ahead. It's a government thing where I don't know how much, but if there was any comments to be made, it would be much more impactful to have them from the commission than through individuals. That's all I would state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think just if I do get access to the report in the next few days, I'll forward it on and we can, I guess, decide if folks want to have a special meeting that's earlier than would normally be.
Yeah, it could be brief on just one topic too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see if we decide we need to have a special meeting. We'll decide that. I guess via email. Okay, great. So management plan, are we done with that then? We're done with the, okay. Management plan updates?
I don't have a lot of spare time these days, so I didn't get to the Sycamore plan
That's what's a question mark.
updates. Yeah.
Updates. That's fine. Do you want to plan like a day we'll do those updates, like December or January, or just let it lie and see if?
I think I'm fine letting it lie and see
Okay, I wasn't sure.
when
Okay.
I have time to
Okay.
chip away at those.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I know I'll have time in J term,
Right.
So I'm like, that's.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds fine. And so then other orders of business, we have events coming up. So there's the Association of Vermont Conservation Commission's annual meeting, Saturday, October 15th, which is very soon, which is an all-day event in Fairleigh, Vermont. I don't know if anyone was planning on attending, but if you did, you could report back to us and we'd love to hear about it. Lewis Creek Association is also having a summary meeting October 17th, just from 7 to 7:30 in the Bristol and Moncton Pond. And I think it was something about debriefing the community and whoever came about what they did with invasives over the summer.
Where do
So-
they hold their meetings?
This particular one was going to be by the boat launch, I think. I can forward it to you if you're interested.
Yeah, okay.
Unless I already did. I might
I think
have.
you did.
I think
It
I already-
sounds
something
vaguely
about
familiar,
it.
so
Yeah.
maybe-
Every time I see Lewis Creek Association, like, oh, doesn't Zaylee kind of touched with them? So I always send,
Everyone's not.
every time I see one from her, I'm like, ooh, maybe Zaylee was. So those are both coming up very soon. We'll sort of, if we see that report, if we get a copy of it and we think we need a special meeting, we can do that. We'll just have that via email for maybe the week ahead, or even maybe 2 weeks ahead if we have to get the homes back very quickly. And I guess that would be everything I have. Because we talked about the other new business in the middle of wildlife tracking. So I think that's everything I have. I would like to make a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn?
You would be able to do that. Motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
the motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming to everyone. We really appreciate hearing your voice, Jim, as always, and everyone. So we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
That is a big, thick computer.
Yeah,
Are you supposed to start with this?
it's like one of those